What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. In today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to legit check Nike SB Dunks. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get straight into it. Alright guys, so before I go ahead and start checking out the shoes, real quick, we're going to take a look at the box because there are a couple people out there that do like collecting these boxes. I wouldn't say I'm one of them. I don't mind having the box or just not having a box at all. I wear all my shoes anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But it does affect resale value. So for all the people that like their boxes, like I said, it's totally up to you. Because some real pairs of shoes will sometimes have fake boxes because they can't get the real one or they threw it out like an idiot. But anyways, enough yapping about the box. Let's go and take a look at the box. So the lighting is actually good here from the last time I did this on my second channel, but I deleted that video because the quality sucked. But anyways, I would say for the color, you're gonna have to look at an authentic pair from like a retail store or resale store. Doesn't matter which one. And then on the right here, on the size tag, you're gonna have to make sure there's like a little bit of like a rectangular square. You can see it in the lighting right there. You can see the corner of it. That's gonna be the RFID, and there's like a little thing right there for it next to the barcode. That basically means that it's authenticated and like straight from Nike. It's not some random, Chinese site. And if we go ahead and remove the wrapping paper real quick for the box, and by the way, this pair does come with extra laces. You're gonna make sure you want that YCM sticker. Yeah, just make sure it's somewhere on the box. I end up looking into where it's supposed to be. It doesn't really matter as long as it's somewhere. And then obviously the aforementioned 2 steps, and of course you can't forget about the sticker, which I don't have with me right now, but I do have it. So yeah, just make sure you have those 4 things with the box and you're good to go. Alright guys, now let's go ahead and move on to legit checking the shoe itself. This is the main part. Now, if I'm being honest, my pair does look kind of fake from some angles because I've worn the heck and cleaned them so hard, bro. Because one time there's like a couple of stains when I took a trip to Louisiana and I couldn't get those freaking stains out. They're still kind of visible like right there along the swoosh. But anyways, I promise you guys these are real. I end up ordering them authentically. I promise you I didn't go to some random Chinese website like Alibaba or something, got a good pair. Promise. But anyways, let's go and start off with the first thing, which is literally the easiest thing you could possibly do. Just make sure the toe box pops back up. Now, I will say if you do squeeze it down hard enough, it's just not going to pop back up. I'm assuming that's another way you can authenticate it, I guess. So, yeah, just make sure it pops back up, or when you squeeze it down really hard, it just doesn't pop back. It might be just the material, but I guess that's a way of legit checking these. I don't know, man. Alright, so the next part you're going to want to look at is on the back heel where the black is. Make sure there are 3 total lines of stitching. So obviously the top one should be the longest, and then the one on like down here is obviously going to be, the shortest. If there's more than 3 lines or less than 3 lines, yeah, they're definitely not real. Alright guys, going back to the toe box for the next tip you want to look at in order to make sure your SB Dunks are real, you're going to want to make sure that this toe box is nice and curved. It should not be boxy like the box it literally comes in. Alright guys, the next step in order to legit check these is going to be on the swoosh. So you want to make sure that the stitching you see all around right here, please make sure that is literally looks like this how it is on camera. I can't describe how short it is, but I would say it's like a little dot. Like if you just poke like a piece of paper with like a pen or something, it should be about that big, maybe slightly longer. Make sure it's like that. If there's like a bunch of long strips and then really, really short strips, kind of like right here, that's a huge no-no. Alright guys, this next part, y'all are really gonna have to pay attention here when you get these in person. But obviously on most Nike shoes, right here on the sole, there's gonna be stars in order to, so like if there's mud on the shoe, obviously it's gonna go away. But on the SBs, it's like really, really thin and it's really hard to see. I wish I had my pair brand new, but it's fine. Okay, we can see it kind of right here. You can see right here, it's really hard. Okay, good, it's focusing, but you can see them. Make sure all the stars are the same. If like the first like I guess 5 or 10 stars within like this little area look good, the rest should be fine, but you might want to have someone that has patience to do it, to look at it. But if one of them is like bigger or smaller than the rest, then again, huge no. Alright guys, we're going back to the back heel for this part. Next, if you want to make sure that the Nike lettering or lettering, branding, whatever you want to call it, that's on the back right here on this little weird part of the shoe right here, like this little half oval looking thing that's on the heel of the shoe, make sure that all four of the letters are evenly spaced out. Like it's like the space between them is about as wide as like the I on the Nike. Make sure it is that wide. If it is not, then like I said for like the last two parts, a huge no, bro. Alright guys, the next part of the shoe I want to look at is going to be on the sole once again. Make sure that the stitching right here that's along the sole of the shoe, so like right where the swoosh is basically, make sure that instead of short stitching, make sure it is long stitching. Of course, you need to make sure that there are no extremely long strips and really teeny tiny strips, kind of like I mentioned on the swoosh, like probably like 2 or 3 clips ago. But yeah, just make sure that the stitching, I guess you could say, it's about as like wide as my finger, my little pointer finger right here. So yeah, just make sure it's about as long as or wide as that. Alright, so the next part of the shoe you want to look at is going to be the tongue right here. So we're gonna start off with I guess the tongue labels. So if you raise the tongue up kind of like this, make sure it is nice and even in the center, and also make sure it's like a squarish rectangle like shape. It should not be more square or more rectangle. It should be very like more rectangle, I would say. That sounds really stupid to say, but you know, it's fine. And also when you feel like your finger over both the front and the back of the tongue text, make sure that it has like a slight little texture to it. It might take a couple of little rubs to feel, but you should be able to feel it like the first time, and then just make sure for the second time in case, you know, you're tweaking out. So, and also there you guys go. You can also do that on the back too. You know, it's a little bit harder to feel on the back, mostly because there's so much more wording on the back, but I promise you guys, you should be able to feel some sort of texture on both the front and the back tongue labels. And then the final part of the tongue is, of course, going to be that ginormous freaking tongue, bro. Look how thick this thing is. I actually have a pair of Air Forces right next to me we can look at. Look how thin this stupid freaking tongue is, bro. It's kind of annoying because it'll like slip out even though the tongue on Air Forces are leather. But when you look at the freaking SB Dunk, bro, this is a giganormous tongue, bro. Like, holy, bro. Like, it is so thick and so freaking squishy. It is super nice to squish. It's very, very fun. So if your you know, pair does not have a thick tongue or doesn't have a little bit of squish, then you might want to consider getting a refund. Moving on to the next part of the shoe, which is going to be just on the inside right here. Make sure that the size font on this is correct. Now, I don't have any fake pairs of shoes in my collection because I usually just get my pairs from like Ross, Marshalls, or just for retail or something. But make sure that your shoes are like, I guess, this font. If it looks a bit too bold or too skinny, then it should be fake. It's really hard to see because number one, the lighting here isn't exactly the best, even though I just replaced the stupid lighting here. And also, I wear these a mad ton, so the stupid size tag is a little bit faded. But you can go ahead and pause right here and just make sure that the letters aren't too bold or too skinny. Alright, so keeping with the inside, looking at the inside of the shoe, you're going to want to go ahead and remove the insole. So we're going to go and set it off to the side because we'll need that later. Just make sure that the stitching is very nice and clean, so like right down here. Make sure all of the lines are even. They might be a little bit crooked because obviously Nike quality control is kind of buns, because one time the stitching while I was wearing these at school, literally the stupid stitching kind of came out, but it's fine. We don't talk about that. And make sure there are just a couple of strands of leftover, or so like about 4, I would say, as I'm looking at this right now. But if there's no leftover stitching or a lot of leftover stitching, or the stitching down here is like extremely sloppy, then that's a pretty bad sign. Guys, we're officially on our final few parts of this legit check video. And by the way, guys, if you are enjoying this legit check video and you want to see more of these, on some of the other sneakers in my collection, please make sure to like and subscribe, because I will definitely be dropping a couple more throughout this year. But anyways, we're moving on to the insole, because this part of the insole is the main fake part of the insole. The insole, obviously, it doesn't really matter. We're mostly looking at this part, which is the Air Zoom unit, which is also the tech that makes these comfortable. Although I will say, if you are not wearing very thick socks, these will kill your feet. That's just a pro tip from me, from wearing them all day, for me at least. But anyways, let's go and start off with this part. So most pairs, when you bend it, literally the Air Zoom unit is just going to freaking come off, like it's peeling off, bro. As you can see, mine is doing that. But if I try to, I'm using all my strength right now, my non-existent strength, it is not peeling that much. It's only peeling a little bit right here. So if your entire thing comes off, then you're absolutely cooked. And then the last part of the insole, just make sure that it has the Air Zoom unit has a little bit of squish, because obviously it's air. It should have a little bit of squish, and then the little fiber or whatever should make it be able to pop right back up. If it doesn't squish at all, or if you do squish it but just doesn't come back up, then yeah, you're probably getting scammed. Anyways, guys, that's going to end off this legit check video from me today. If you liked it, of course, make sure to like and subscribe for more sneaker-related content on the channel, which I barely do, but I will be doing very soon. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace!